Well, in episode 612 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network, I'm Dan Hilton. And as you noticed by the title, we're doing back-to-back five headlines. And five headlines I felt like was perfect. Well, I could have done seven headlines here, one for every goal. I was going to do the player ratings when I'd started the match, but the win against Real Valladolid was a comprehensive team win where if the roles of the players and the function of their roles were all more important, I think, to Hansi Flick. Because really, Hansi Flick, 10 of 10 for him in a 7-0 win. Raphinha gets a 10 of 10. A bunch of other players get 10 of 10 because it was a 7-0 win. And I thought the function and the team identity were more important than talking about the individual players today and how they would stack up against each other. So, for example, I don't really talk much about Balde at all. I think it's the only time I'm going to mention him. But Balde did exactly what he had to do today. He did exactly what he was supposed to do spatially against a low block. So while I don't have any individual moments to talk about him, he was just as good as everybody else playing for the team and functioning in this team concept where Barcelona absolutely destroyed Real Valladolid. But I don't need to tell you that. You know it was 7-0. So let's go into the five headlines from Barcelona's 7-0 win over Real Valladolid that puts him 12 points from 4 matches and puts him going into the first international break at the top of the Liga table. This is being recorded before Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, so they could have a pretty good cushion going in to 2 weeks from now against Girona on the 15th. We'll have a watch along and all that stuff. I do plan on still making content between now and then, but all right, without further ado, let's dive in. Here are the 5 headlines. Headline 1 is Cubarsi's clinic. There's a lot of different players that I could mention that were important to the start of this match, but knowing that Real Valladolid, we're going to probably do something similar that they did against Real Madrid, and that is they were going to be in a 4-1-4 win while trying to attack in transition, but they were really going to be settling into a 5-4-1 or a 5-3-2, depending on the positioning of Quique Perez. This was more of a 5-4-1 where they kept Quique Perez pretty deep in the middle of the field there, and they were going to be constantly trying to put an extra body or 2 or 3 out on Lamine Yamal on the right wing, but it didn't really matter because Barcelona, instead of trying to adapt to what they were doing, they just relied on their talent and their skill. And from the back line all the way up, maybe Ter Stegen wasn't his best with his passing, but he didn't have to be. Barcelona were able to play that high line and have that line of confrontation in Real Valladolid's half of the field, which even if you're playing a low block, you never want that to be the case. You never want to have the opposition able to set their center backs up within 45 yards of your goal. You don't want that to be the case, but that's what the case was. And once that pressure was that far up the field, Barcelona's technique, skill, confidence, close association, especially in the middle of the field, was just too dangerous when Lamine Yamal was skating by players on the right wing. The first opportunity in the game, it was Lamine Yamal to Lewandowski, and Dani Olmo hit the post. And whenever a post is hit as the first time that Barcelona are getting in on the attack, you get a little bit worried because you're like, oh, well, it's a good thing that Barcelona got forward. But I'm a little worried because those posts we know in the Liga, if the other team's goalkeeper is playing well, they can add up and put you in trouble. But that's not the way that Real Valladolid were playing. Not only did they as a team obviously wilt, not only after that point, but pretty much once the first goal was scored in the 20th minute, but their goalkeeper in Hein did not have a good day either. Obviously, he conceded 7, but from the jump, even that post, it didn't look like he was on his A game. The 10th minute, it was Cubarsi. That's where I think Barcelona started to unlock Real Valladolid. So the first about 10 minutes or so, it was just kind of, basic football, feeling out the spaces and figuring out where Real Valladolid would be weak. But 10th minute, Cubarsi got things started, put Lamine Yamal in 1v1. Raphinha then parried it forward. The first good opportunity for Raphinha to get into this game, but then Olmo was offside when the ball eventually found the back of the net. But the warning shot came from Barcelona, and all the players that I'm about to continue to mention throughout the rest of these 5 headlines were important in getting on the ball and finding one-touch passing between them. Good associations, good chemistry, and good form from the team overall. Again, just 10 minutes in. 17th minute, Lewandowski working hard to put himself in good places to score, create moments for and opportunities for other players, which again, if Lewandowski is going to work that hard, it's a good start for him. And he's also going to be rewarded in a second with our second headline. 19th minute, this is the first time that in my notes I had Real Valladolid starting to string passes together, and it ended with another play where Real Valladolid this time was offside, but it didn't really matter because Barcelona immediately. So we saw earlier this season, Athletic Club being the best example, that Athletic Club got a goal on the board, and then Barcelona immediately with intensity responded. Real Valladolid, they just strung 10 passes together, and the I'll use ruthless Hansi Flick has his team immediately 1 minute later respond to a little bit of life from Real Valladolid with the first goal of the game. Raphinha gets his first. Cubarsi is going to get deservedly a lot of credit for that goal, breaking open, not even breaking open, but using the ball on the ground to break open Real Valladolid through the center channels in the first 20 minutes, but then getting this one over the top because once they had that being Real Valladolid were so vertically narrow, then if you can't play through the middle, the way is over the top. So Cubarsi just easily over the top. Raphinha onto the chest looked like it may have gone a little bit too far for him, but no, he's super fast, super quick, and then took himself wide enough on the angle where he could stay to a good enough angle on goal. I know those words weren't the best for me, but you get my point. Toe pokes it into the back of the net. It's 1-0 Barcelona, and now they're flying high. Headline 2, 4 goals from 4 games. At this point, I didn't want to change my headlines too much, so I'm just going to go with the second goal here because this is where already Real Valladolid must have felt like the game was getting out of reach. 24th minute here, Cubarsi to Lamine Yamal out wide. Lamine Yamal, he might have been the one offside in the buildup, but the VAR said he wasn't. Then it was over the top to Lewandowski. Good feed from Lamine Yamal, especially if you're going to give him that much time and space in that deep of a position. The argument is Lamine Yamal in 1v1 situations more dangerous once he gets all the way to the end line, or is he that dangerous from playing in deeper positions? In the Euros for Spain, he looked really dangerous. That's where a number of his assists came from, was outside the box before he was approaching the box because the other teams have to worry so much about him, even in those positions, that other players are now in 1v1 spots crashing into the box. It's now 4 goals in 4 games from Lewandowski. And if he wants to continue to not have any of those detractors and those complaining about him, it's continuing to score goals. Who cares really what he does in the rest of his time on the field? But he also worked hard in this game to create space for everyone else, especially Dani Olmo playing in underneath him. 41st minute, this is kind of what happens here. Lewandowski attracts 2 center backs of the 3 in that back 5, and then Dani Olmo hits the second post of the game. It was nice one-touch stuff from Raphinha as well. And while we kind of expected Dani Olmo and Pedri to have a good combination and good chemistry to their play, the stuff between Raphinha, Pedri, and Dani Olmo in now the last 2 games, awesome. Just real awesome stuff. And I'm going to continue to praise Raphinha probably for the rest of this 5 headlines. Of course, we have 2 more goals to talk about with him. Headline 3 is over in the first half. This game was already over by the time the ref had time to blow the whistle. Stoppage time in the first half. Third goal. It's awful defending here on the corner kick. And I should say the prior corner kick as well. I had mentioned no one was marking Lewandowski. So if that ball comes in, that in-swinger to Lewandowski, it's already 3 goals. But instead, it's another corner kick. And then the ball, fortunately, sometimes luck does matter, but the ball fortunately falls to Koundé, and he took the shot well, leaned it back, and put it in the corner, hit the post, and it went in. So, yeah, a little bit of luck here, but after his performance, that being Koundé's against Rayo Vallecano, where I felt like he could have been a little bit better, he immediately rebounded because Koundé. People were asking me, by the way, on the watch along, if Lamine Yamal was the best right winger in world football. He has an argument at this point, at least being the best in form right winger in world football right now, that being Lamine Yamal. But Koundé, I think, is just the best right back. I agree with Lamine Yamal and what he posted on Jules Koundé's right back after Athletic Club. I do think that Jules Koundé is the best right back in world football at the moment. That's the guy I go with. And goals and anything he gives you offensively does not hurt that argument at all. Coming out of the second half, no changes for Barcelona either, but they also came out with the same intensity, which I think was the game plan. Keep the 11 on the field who started that first half and then make your changes as you continue to destroy and dominate your opponent the way they did. 55th minute, it's a beautiful transition from Barcelona. Pedri long ball to Raphinha. Lamine Yamal had the shot, but Dani Olmo couldn't get the right touch to guide it into the net, as in Lamine Yamal decided not to take the shot and tried to give Dani Olmo a little tap in, but he got his feet a bit twisted, so he had to wait for his goal. That could have been 4 at that point. And then Lewandowski soon after that hit the outside of the post. I want to remind you, at that point, it was 3-0. And at that point, it could have been 8-0 if we're counting all the posts and all the little moments that Barcelona could have put the ball in the back of the net. Headline 4 is Raphinha's hat trick. We could have gone with something a bit more complicated for this, but I just want to go with hat trick because this is a special day for Raphinha, and hat tricks matter. That is a word within itself that tells that the player did really well on the day. It was a special day, and it was one that they will always remember, and hopefully fans of that club also remember. Raphinha's hat trick against Real Valladolid, put it in the history books. 61st minute, that's also when Hansi Flick started to put in the subs. Pedri and Castado out for Eric Garcia and Fermin Lopez. Sergio Dominguez also coming on for Pau Cubarsi. So a little bit of rest for Pau Cubarsi, who had played every minute so far to start the campaign. Eric Garcia coming back from that injury. Even if he was going to go to Girona with Christensen injury, Eric Garcia has to be the backup pivot until Frankie de Jong, whenever he might come back, or Gabi, if he's the first to come back in November. Who knows about Frankie de Jong and his surgery? And then Fermin Lopez, he's that first attacking option off the bench, and kind of just hoping that he can continue to come back and gain form and all those good things. He'll also be with the U23s during the international break, so more time with the Spanish national teams to get reps and all that stuff. Or rather, he's with the U21s, U23s with the Olympics. My apologies. 64th minute, Raphinha second, everything coming down the middle from Barcelona, which is where you want to have the attacks. And we mentioned the big difference between Xavi and Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick will live and die by the sword of trying to just trust your players with the skill and the talent through the center channels instead of kind of praying that things on the wings can work out the way that Xavi did. And it works for some teams to go down the wings, but the way that the personnel of this team is built and just their skill and talent, especially adding Dani Olmo to this bunch, you can attack through the middle much more. Lewandowski's close control was really important on the second goal from Raphinha. Lamine Yamal crashing as well after his dribble set up the space, that being Lamine Yamal driving into that space, setting up the other space behind, and then Dani Olmo playing Lewandowski into a dangerous spot, moving the ball forward vertically. All the white shirts collapse onto Lewandowski, and then Raphinha was there to clean up the garbage. Doesn't matter how they come. Second goal from Raphinha. And then while I was busy praising Raphinha on the stream, he also got the third, because this hat trick has kind of felt like it wasn't just Hansi Flick. It's felt like he was building for Raphinha. He's been so good now going on the last 8 months. I've made sure since Hansi Flick became manager of Barcelona that I went all in on repping Raphinha, and I'm going to continue to do that. Raphinha has, I would at this point, because of his hat trick, say he's been the player of the season so far for Barcelona through 4 games. He's just been so essential, regardless of what has been asked of him defensively, playing as the number 10, now playing on the left wing, now that Dani Olmo is probably going to be the consummate starter at that 10 spot. He's just been so good from the middle of last season on, with full contributions, with defensive work rate, playing wherever he needed to play on the left wing, earning the starting spot last season where, was it going to be Ferran Torres? Was it going to be João Felix? Whoever could give you enough was going to be the left wing starter. No, Raphinha, once he was removed from the starting lineup because Lamine Yamal is a star, Raphinha fought for his spot, earned it, raised his level, and now it looks like he's raised his level even farther under Hansi Flick. So the third goal happens here. Defending a corner is Barcelona, and then in transition, Lamine Yamal took it the whole way through the middle. If the other team is going to get tired and give you space to dribble into, then take that space. So Lamine Yamal took that space. Raphinha matched his steps the whole way, kind of not knowing what Lamine Yamal was going to do, just making sure, hey, when he decides to do something, I want to be in the right spot. And he was, because once Real Valladolid tried to drop, they were on their back heels, so they tried to drop into that 5 back. It was just too quick in transition. So Raphinha ran right at them, and Lamine Yamal fed him. Instead of going out to the wing, instead of going with a safe pass, he goes right down the gullet, that being Lamine Yamal, finds Raphinha, and another finish for Raphinha. Hat trick for him, an awesome day, and the best game from Raphinha in a Barcelona uniform. The 3 goals and the assists. This game is about scoring goals. You win games if you score more goals than the opposition. So when you get 3 goals and you get an assist, that is your best day in a Barcelona uniform. But even if he hadn't had the goals, I still would have said it was a really good day for Raphinha, but he had all the goal contributions. And if he's going to put up numbers like that being Raphinha, this team is really going to be flying high, especially when you have, again, Lewandowski, 4 goals from 4 games. I'm not going to overhype or overdo the numbers. Again, 7 goals is a bit of unexpected against any opponent in the Liga. But if you're going to put these numbers on the board early and have these players playing with confidence, good things are going to happen for you. Headline 5 is make it 7. At that point, everybody was trying to get into the game. Everyone was trying to get into that action because Real Valladolid were willing to give up even more goals at that point in the contest. So Ferran Torres comes on for Lewandowski. And I do think when we talk about the subs here, I think it was telling that Hansi Flick was speaking to Hector Fort after that game. The feed showed, instead of all the celebration congratulating players, the first thing Hansi Flick did was bring Hector Fort in and say, hey, this is what I want to see from you to get into these games. You probably, if I could have had more subs, been put into this game, and I still believe in you. You're going to get your opportunities, and that's what you want to see. Make sure that you don't lose any players. Keep everybody in the mix. And I'll add in here that I had also written in my notes, who knows where Pablo Torre fits in this squad, because I didn't know if he was going to get into this game. Once Pau Victor, Hector Fort, and Pablo Torre, those were the three for the fifth and final sub spot, but Pablo Torre gets in the game for Dani Olmo. Good to see that he was also incorporated, because I said, if you're Hansi Flick and you're needing depth, you're going to need everybody bought in, and you're going to need everybody's attention. So just keeping everybody's confidence up and letting them know that they're going to be involved. You're not throwing anybody out to the cleaners or telling anybody that they're going to be leaving in January. Keep everybody involved and make sure this is a team and a unit, especially a unit that just had to rally around that injury to Marc Bernal. Keep them rallied around the good moments too, including Dani Olmo, who had a good moment getting Barcelona sixth. Did Ferran Torres laid off on purpose here? That is for you to decide at home, because it was Raphinha, regardless, with the slick ball across the box to Ferran Torres. And how good, whether it was Lamine Yamal, the toe poke onto Raphinha, or was it Lewandowski? We'll have to see the replays, who got that toe poke for Raphinha's second. But for Ferran Torres, I think he should get the assist here, even though it really was Raphinha who set this all up. I'm not even sure if Ferran Torres touched it, but either way, Dani Olmo kind of takes it and then dribbles it himself. Still had a lot to do, takes himself wide, and then finds the angle, scores the six for Barcelona. Awesome stuff. Then Ferran Torres, he got to eat too. Seventh goal comes because it's Balde to Raphinha. A lot of it had come down the right wing, and Real Valladolid, of course, had to continue to worry about Lamine Yamal. I thought he'd be subbed out, but he wasn't. So that means Real Valladolid, it was a nightmare for them for a full 90 minutes. And that meant that Balde had some room. Raphinha, he was just on his day, gets the ball in for a simple run by Ferran Torres to the near post. It really was a simple run by Ferran, but hey, the essentials and the basics work just as well. The goals all count the same. So good on the Shark to get a little bit in on this feast too. Real Valladolid, we didn't talk about them offensively because there isn't much to talk about here. Barcelona were so much on the attack. You can win with your offense, and that's what they did. They absolutely destroyed Real Valladolid in all the statistical categories. 71% possession for Barcelona, which means Real Valladolid only had the ball 29% of the time. The passing accuracy for Barcelona was 91%, which means that Real Valladolid were just constantly chasing shadows, and Barcelona were not giving them the ball at all. They were just completing passes, and they were 5 short of 600 total passes in the game. Shots on target were 11-1. Shots total were 23-4. And then as far as total attacks, even, Real Valladolid had 5 total attacks in that game by the 80th minute. I don't know if they had another one after that for the 12 minutes afterwards. Maybe they had 6 total, but to only have 5 throughout most of a game, Real Valladolid were not in this game at all. And I think there could be an overcorrection here for people saying, oh, Barcelona, are playing amazing and we're overhyping Barcelona and they're going to be winning the Champions League and all that stuff. No, I would say enjoy this isolated start to the season. Who knows what happens out the international break, but 12 points from 4 games. You're flying high. You're leading the Liga, and the identity of the team. That is what I'm celebrating. This, not the 7-0, but if you play like that, even against a Bayern Munich, you can win that game 2-1. Or you can beat Bayern Munich 3-1, whatever it is. If you play like that, regardless of who it is, you can win those games. Because yes, Real Valladolid were just as bad in this game as Barcelona were good, but you can also only play the team that's in front of you. The last time Barca did score 7 or more was an 8-2 win against Huesca in September of 2018. And I'm not saying that this Barcelona is as good as that one, because that one had Lionel Messi. But I will say that for the first time since Ernesto Valverde, it looks like this team under a manager has a winning formula. That if they kind of listen to the manager and they show you what their individual abilities and individual quality can be, if they continue to play well in tight spaces and build their connections and play with I keep repeating these words, but if they play with the composure and chemistry that they have, if they attack you in transition, they attack you through the middle. Lamine Yamal and Raphinha can attack you on the wing. They make the most of the vertical space, but they're patient when they need to be. All of those things, if you can be as dynamic as they've been, regardless of what a team is trying to do, if they're trying to sit in a medium block and attack you on the wings the way Athletic Club did, if they're going to sit with 4 at the back the way that Real Valladolid did, if they're going to try to match you with the similar medium block and try to just go right at you the way that Valencia did and push players through the middle the way Valencia did, you can still pick up wins. And even if they're going to try to muddy a game up the way that Rayo Vallecano did, make you meet them in the mud, again, the way Rayo Vallecano did, Barcelona have won, I'd say, 4 different style games. That is what gives me more hope than 7 goals against Real Valladolid. I really like the identity. And as I said, if I was going to give ratings, Hansi Flick is getting a 10 of 10 to start this season for me. You can't ask anything more than 4 victories in 4 different ways. And here's hoping that Hansi Flick can continue that 10 of 10 rating after the international break, because I would actually love to see another match on Wednesday or Thursday for Barcelona, the way that they're playing. But now we've got to wait 2 weeks for Girona on the 15th of September. And then it's Monaco 4 days later to start the Champions League on the 19th of September. I will have watch-alongs depending on my schedule, but it looks like I'm already slated to have those watch-alongs. I'll be free for those on Tifo. Promo code is free to get in with Hola Culés, with a R and an S on the end of the Culés. So Hola Culés, all lowercase. That's the promo code to get in to those watch-alongs. I've enjoyed having the communications with people. The invitations for Patreons, as well as former guests of the show, are still open. I would love to have more people coming on. So again, it's Girona on the 15th and then Monaco 4 days later on the 19th of September. And hopefully Barcelona can stay healthy. I'm knocking on every piece of wood I possibly can. My desk is made of wood, so there we go. I'm knocking on it. Everybody stay healthy for the international break, and maybe a player or two can return. Doesn't look like, well, okay, maybe at least Ansu Fati, and then we'll see about Frankie de Jong. I think we're going to be watching updates on him throughout the international break. And then everyone else, nobody get hurt. Everyone stay healthy, including you. Kool-Aids, I know that at least for the rest of you, I'm going to have to wash up and rest my voice. So everybody get healthy, everybody stay fit, and everybody enjoy these vibes. After a 7-0, just sit in it. Enjoy it for 2 weeks, because nothing bad for Barcelona is going to happen. Even the news and drama, even if a player gets hurt, Barcelona are flying high because they have an identity, they know who they are, and they've got a manager that I got a lot of confidence in. Remember, if you want these shows without the ads, or you want to join the watch along with a camera and a microphone, you can be a Patreon for as low as $3. That is down in the description of the show notes, along with the Tifo link to watch those watch alongs. Just become a member, and then you'll get notified when I'm going live for those. And then on Twitter and Instagram, I try to do my best. I forget that I have those. I forget social media exists, which I probably shouldn't. There's a closed Facebook group and a Discord as well for other members of the Barcelona community. So I enjoy those as well, and I hope you do too. A good rating on the podcast app and a like on YouTube, or a subscribe. We're less than 200 away. Maybe by the time that people are finished watching this 7-0, winning always is helpful. So subscribe on the YouTube channel. Get me to 20,000. What an exciting number that is. So 20,000. Most importantly, though, thanks so much for listening to the Barcelona podcast, whether on YouTube, on podcast apps, or as a patron, or wherever you enjoyed the Barcelona podcast content. Let's hope there's more 7-0s to come this season. Maybe the Champions League. That'd be fun too. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Of course, the Barca.